This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everyone. I love the title, the name of her practice, because it says so much. Center for Relational Wellness. Relation, as in relationships. Today, as in marriage or partnerships. We're going to focus on that, how to make yours stronger, what to do when things kind of go in a different direction. And that's just a part of the therapy that she offers. So great to have her with us. Sara Vargas joins us on the program today. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm going to just say this before we even begin. It's my belief after a journey that before people enter into a serious relationship, they should have therapy. That's just me. I truly believe. And it's not because you're here that I'm saying that, but so much can be revealed before you go deeper into commitment. Your thoughts?
Love it. Yes, 100%. I think a lot of folks often think that they have to wait until they're in crisis, whether individually or in relationship, before they seek out help, right? Which is, at that point, you're already in the throes of things. It's already super difficult where if you start ahead of time, right, you are you're better equipped, right, to deal with the challenges that come up, right? So I'm a big fan of folks being in individual therapy beforehand. And certainly if you're in relationship before things get rocky, really, really helpful to join your partner in couples therapy. I find that to be super effective. You can talk things through before they get out of hand and there's all this resentment. Yes,
Even just
absolutely.
realizing who's who, where they came from. Yeah, it's easy to say to the new person in your life or the person you've been with and you're thinking about making a major commitment. Yeah, my parents got divorced when I was younger and blah, 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 blah. All right, there's a lot to talk about even in just that can shape the future. But I'm going to even go back to when you just start the relationship, the five love languages. Mandatory. Mandatory. Now, we're not going out to dinner anymore. We're not doing anything. Let's sit down and take a 20-minute quiz and get a baseline for what you like.
Yep, super helpful. Honestly, like that is, I think it's pretty understandable. Like for folks who don't know what the five languages are, right? We're talking about how you show love and how you receive love, and there's lots of different ways of showing that, right? Like words of affirmation,
Acts of
gift
service,
giving, acts of service, quality time, and then today I'm gonna
affection,
miss one. And affection,
physical.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you think about
Exactly.
how many men will build a shed, mow the lawn, take care of this, take care of that. And then their partner may look at it and say, well, that's great. And he's like, look what I did for you. That's how he's showing love because he thinks that's the way it should be, but that's not connecting with her or his partner. And
Hmm.
then you have a disconnect. And that's where you're starting. Now, let's add 10 years to that. What do you got? Probably some trouble.
Yep, a bunch of mixed messages through your
Yeah.
whole relationship, right? Somebody's trying to connect and it keeps getting missed. That can be really painful, right? It's not intentional necessarily, right? It's a
Sure.
lot of the time unconscious, but you think that you're doing the best that you can, which you probably are. But if it's getting missed, right, there's a lot of hurt there.
Yeah. Yeah. You're doing the best you can with what you have. What do you have? Dare I say the perfect example, your parents.
Exactly. And I think that you are touching on such an important part that I think folks forget about, right? Like sometimes I work with people who are like, no, my family had no impact on me. That is impossible, right? For better or worse. Even that rejection of, accepting that your family may have had an impact on you, that is a response to your family. So you are constantly impacted by how you were brought up. The messages that you understood about, what it looks like to be in a relationship, what do gender roles look like, what are the expectations for relationships, all of these things they come from somewhere, right? And they've been internalized your whole life based on what you saw in your childhood. And
Mm.
of course, it's going to show up in your relationship, right? Like that is where that stuff gets really activated.
So I have a friend who went through a divorce, and I'm trying to laser this down, but give you the pieces of the situation. So she immediately just decided she wanted a divorce. Big surprise to the family, kids that had no idea. And then it was revealed, as my friend told me the story, and I know the family, um, that she had been cheating.
Mhm.
And then when he looked, I'm close with him, he looked deeper into it and then had a realization that um, her father left the family abruptly. But wait, there's more. And then she started a serious relationship with somebody, and he saw a picture of the somebody. It looks exactly like her father. Exactly.
Mhm.
Like he showed me,
Wow.
text me. I'm like, and I knew the family, so I know what the father looked like. And the relationship with the dad now or then, later in life was fine. There was some
Hmm.
animosity over the years, but it was all good. It was all good now. But it sounds like there was something missing there. And especially, she was looking to make that connection again, and apparently did. And spot on. I mean, every facial feature, ethnic background, hobbies, the same. Freaky weird as I hear it. I don't want to say those words, but daddy issues, mommy issues. But to me, that kind of rings true in that situation, and does, I'm sure, comes up a lot in the people that you work with.
For sure. I look a lot at patterns in your family of origin, like what you see, and I look way back. I start with grandparents, right? Well, like when I'm getting a family history of folks, I look at grandparents, parents, so on, right? And if you have more generations, even better for me to know, right? Because a lot of those messages get definitely transmitted through the generations. And a lot of the time, you are not fully aware of that until you actually look at it. I literally write it out for folks and create like a little diagram to show them, right? Those are called genograms. So I
Wow.
will explain to folks like what they're seeing, like what it's coming, where is this coming from, right? And a lot of the times, there are lots of folks that be really surprised when they realize how similar they are to a parent, especially a parent that they don't want to identify with, right? Like it can be really painful and kind of shocking and sometimes really upsetting. But that is not totally surprising, right? Like you saw this. This is kind of the way folks operate. So that means that might be okay for me. And it can be really unconscious in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Until it's brought up, right? Until you verbalize it and put like words to it.
Well, you said the word unconscious or subconscious, so let's go a little bit deeper there.
Yeah.
Um, Generational. Could there be generational things in your subconscious that you're not even aware of?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like you're not consciously thinking about all of these things, right? Like, oh, my family did this, I must be behaving in this way until you start actually going to a clinician and working with someone and you start looking at these things and you actually choose to look inward, then it starts unfolding. Right?
Yeah.
But until you are there and you're not wanting to look inward, you're going to be stuck for a long time.
What's that like for people that you work with, where they have the, I call them the aha moment, the epiphany, or connecting the dots now to what gets, I don't want to say revealed, but understood
Mhm.
from back in the day. Um, it's got to be like just amazing, even for you to see that they've made that connection. Like, oh, that's why I'm doing that, or that's why I keep picking the same type of people in relationships, or
Mhm.
how many men or
Mhm.
women have said that, I don't know, there's no good guys out there. It's like the same people. Men are all the same. And I have a close friend, hang with him a lot, probably later on tonight. We're gonna go, check out a tribute band or something. He'll say the same thing. Women are crazy. And probably that's what's showing up, but it's for a reason, right?
You gravitate towards what's familiar.
Yeah.
So until you recognize why it's familiar, you're going to stay there, right? And the thing is this familiar doesn't mean good or better. it just, there's a lot of comfort in that. Even if you find yourself in really problematic relationships, if it feels familiar, that's way more comfortable than a healthy relationship if you are not used to healthy relationships, right? And you are not aware of that necessarily. But when, to your question, when you become aware of those things, for some people, it can actually bring a lot of grief, right? A lot of anger for themselves, for their own history, their relationships. Like, how did I not know this? How did I not see this? And
Mm,
then certainly a lot of folks immediately would be like, how do I change it?
right.
Right? Like, how do I jump into the solution? Where you have to remind folks, right? Like, you spent a lot of time being being this way. And so you can't just change from today to tomorrow just because you realize this. It actually takes a lot of work, right? It's slowing down.
So we talked about infidelity a moment ago. Why do people cheat?
Oh, that is a very difficult question. There's lots of reasons.
Mm,
It's a hard question because there's so many reasons. There's not like one specific,
sure.
formula to what happens. It can be not feeling heard, feeling small, uh, really low self-esteem, feeling bored, um, you know, being angry. That's one too, like being angry with your partner. So there's all sorts of reasons that people cheat, right? And usually it's not necessarily your partner exactly. It's more stuff that's going on for you. Are there things in the relationship that contribute to the infidelity? 100%. And that's the hard part for people to understand, that typically in a relationship, both parties contribute to some degree to the infidelity, even though there's one person who's acting out.
Hmm. Um, this one's a hard one. This is not scientific, but when it is infidelity, even the example I gave of my friend that
Yeah.
went through the divorce, um, is that how often is it tied into their upbringing? Scale of 1 to 10. If 10 is that's it's always that. It's not. But if you were to put it there, again, that's scientific based on your experience, working with people. What do you think?
Based on the people I have worked with, so this is not, yes, I'm not getting this from any data.
Nope, nope.
uh, I would say for sure 70, 80%. Like, there, you can see it in the family of origin for sure. Um, I find that it's not always a piece of information that you know about immediately until you start going back and digging. Like, were you aware of this? Let's understand this. Where did this come from? What were your parents like? All that. But yeah, for sure, it's in the higher range. I think that connection.
Mm. I'm not surprised, and honestly, and not, not a professional, not even close to it. Kind of what I thought you were going to say. I really
Yeah.
did. Hmm. Um, this has been said before. Once a cheater, always a cheater. True or false?
Um, if you do the work, false. If you don't do the work, true. Right? The thing is, like, when you are used to certain patterns, again, I say this word a lot, right? But when you are used to certain patterns and you engage in these patterns, it's something that right? It's something that feels easy for you until you decide, I want to do something differently. You have to be really conscious of it. You have to work really hard towards the change, right? So unless you're doing the work, the chances of that happening again are really high.
Hmm. How do you how do you navigate or how do you suggest that couples navigate when there's a disconnect? So once it starts, now they're not talking, they're angry at each other. Then another situation presents. Let's say life got a little bit better, it's okay. Now we're at another situation and there's disconnect. Now maybe one of them is just finding other activities, working more, whatever it
Mhm.
may be. Um, how do you reconnect? How does that get done? Certainly through therapy for sure, but what are some of the other things that couples can do?
Yeah, sure. So when you notice, the disconnect, don't just ignore it when you have a good day, right? Like, you actually have to talk about what's happening between the two of you and repair, right? If you just, talk about something and nothing is done with it, and then you ignore it the next day and things are fine, that is how you build resentment, right? You actually have to talk about it even when it's hard, right? And talking to listen, not talking to respond, right? What I mean by that is when your partner is speaking, really being attuned, leaning in, listening. What are they trying to tell me without getting defensive and without coming up with an answer, right? Really understanding, like, okay, am I hearing what you're saying? And actually checking in with your partner. Like, is this what you're
Mm.
saying? Is this what I'm hearing from you? Just slowing down and listening. Those, I think, are two of the biggest things that you can do for your relationship. Listen to each other before you
So
respond.
let's say, and this is, I'm sure you've dealt with this situation before. Um, one part of the couple wants to talk. The other one says, I'm not dealing with it right now. I'm not. Usually, a lot of times it's the man. I don't want to talk about it. No, no, we're not going to go there. Um, what can the other half say to move things forward? But you also don't want to push that person up against the wall, so to speak. And, if they're not ready, they're not ready. But what's reasonable? What's a reasonable tactic to move that along?
Being really aware of what each of your roles are. What you're describing is a very typical, dynamic where you have the pursuer and the withdrawer. There's one person, I need to talk about this right now. This person is, I'm overwhelmed. So I'm going to come up with a reason to either shut down or leave the situation,
Yep.
right? That person who wants to leave doesn't realize how much power they actually have in the relationship. That person is the one who's dictating when that conversation begins or stops. But the problem with that is that the person who is the more anxious person, I want to talk about you, when they witness their partner leaving, it creates more anxiety. So they go after that person even more, and the withdrawer shuts down even more. So it creates this really problematic dynamic where then the anxious person is thinking, my partner doesn't care about me, they have no feelings. But what's actually happening is this person is getting really overwhelmed. So what needs to happen is, hey, speaking from a place of I statements, right? Like being able to say, I really need this. I feel really alone. I need from you. The withdrawer needs to say, give me some time. I just need to get centered again, whatever language they want to use, right? Like, I need to get centered again. Give me an hour and I will come back and we can have this conversation when I'm settled. But that person has to come back. Otherwise, it can be really damaging.
Is it reasonable to set an appointment? So let's say, the what's the two roles again?
The pursuer and the withdrawer.
Got it. So so cool. The pursuer wants to talk. Withdrawer
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. Pursuer
Mm-hmm.
says, all right, okay. How about tomorrow when you come home from work after dinner, no rush, let's say 7 o'clock, setting an appointment. Is that reasonable?
I would actually put that on the withdrawer. The withdrawer has to tell the other person when they're available to talk, because otherwise it just plays into the same dynamic. This person, the pursuer, is asking, asking,
Mm.
asking, I need to talk, I need to handle this. This person, the withdrawer, is going to feel overwhelmed. So it's really the withdrawer's responsibility to say, we can talk tomorrow at 7, but you actually have to be there. So yes, I would absolutely schedule it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. It's actually probably really helpful if you follow through.
100%. And also the withdrawer, yeah, collect your thoughts. Now, you get an idea of where we're going to go, how you're feeling, calm it down.
Yep.
Love it. How did you get here, Sarah? Your journey helping people.
Oh, it's a long story. I'll try to keep it concise. Um, I actually started pre-med in undergrad, and I decided that was going to be too long for me, which was a silly idea at 18. And so I did a bunch of other things in between. I actually was a broadcast journalist for a long time. I worked in radio and television and public relations for a long time. And I realized I wasn't doing anything for anyone in a way that felt more fulfilling to me. Like I wanted to provide a service. That medical piece was always there for me. Um, and so I decided to go back to school. And when I learned about what it meant to be a family therapist, I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. I speak Spanish, I'm Latina. Like, I really want to tap into this community where therapy is so taboo. And I figured that was a really great way for me to actually provide a service for other folks.
Wow.
And so I did all the work to go back to grad school, and here we are.
That's great. You know
So,
what?
yeah,
In a way, I can relate to what you're saying because
yeah.
I've been doing this since I was a kid, like literally, not even exactly.
Uh-huh.
I got my first job at 17, and maybe halfway through my career, I got out of broadcast and radio because I want to make a difference. So I got look for
Hmm.
jobs like external affairs and hospitals and things like that.
Hmm.
So I could connect with the community. And somebody someday said to me, "Duh, do you realize what you've been doing all along?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And I did a lot of morning shows, and kind of we would talk about this stuff lighter sometimes, but it was somebody's got a challenge. What can we do? Audience weighs
Hmm.
in.
Hmm.
I'm going to throw that out there. Instant feedback, Steve at gmail.com. You have any questions for Sara, relationship related, intimacy challenges? Keep it anonymous if you want, whatever. We're here.
Hmm.
We're here to help. Um, what are you hearing most often now? We're focusing on couples today. Most often, what are you hearing?
Oh my goodness. I think folks are afraid of kind of to what you were naming earlier when there's this disconnect. Folks are afraid to talk about the disconnect and what's going to come up. So that I hear all of the time, especially folks with like younger kids and things like that. Their relationship undergoes this huge change and it does create some change and distance, right? So how do we come back together? Right. And so I do
Hmm.
hear that, which shows up also in their sex lives, right? You see this change in desire discrepancy, right? Like one person has more desire than the other, but it's all very much connected to the emotional stuff.
Wow.
Hmm.
I have to, you open the door and we're going to talk about intimacy in future podcasts. But
Yeah.
when you say it's connected, in terms of one partner wants more intimacy than the other, give an example. How is that connected?
Sure. Like, if there's a person that's feeling disconnected in the relationship emotionally, and maybe they don't necessarily how to verbalize that, right? Or how to communicate that to their partner.
Okay.
They start to get really anxious, like, so I really need to have sex with my partner. I really need touch from my partner to feel secure again. They're not always necessarily aware of why that's happening right away, but the other person might be feeling really disconnected. So, of course, their desire goes down. I'm not really feeling that attracted to my partner right now because I feel alone. I feel overwhelmed. So that kills your desire, right? When you are feeling super tired, super overwhelmed, it's going to just kill that. So that's how it can really show up. And that's just one example.
For sure. Wow. Looking forward to digging into that one deeper
Yeah.
next time we get together. Uh,
Yep.
how does somebody connect with you, whether they're an individual, couple, family situations? That's, whole other podcast there. Best way to find you. How do they do that, Sara?
Yep. So multiple ways. We have our email, which is info@ centerrw.com. And then our website is centerrw.com. So you can find me on our website. Our phone number it's in Illinois, so it's 224-294-1001. Those are, and then Psychology Today, I can be found on there as well.
And can you work with people anywhere virtually?
No. So I can work with people who are looking for like supervision and consultation. But in terms of clinical work, I can only work with folks living in Illinois. I can be anywhere, but folks have to be
Gotcha.
in Illinois based on my license and insurance.
Gotcha. But, even on a counseling or coaching level, you could
Hmm.
work with anybody, I guess, virtually anywhere there, right?
Yep, exactly. Like if it's separate from therapy related to my license, yes, like things like consultation or different coachings or different things like that, for sure. I can do that outside of Illinois.
Gotcha. Wonderful talking with you today. Love your energy,
Likewise.
your fresh approach to all of this, and real. It's like,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, fantastic. Thank you for being here. Looking forward next time we get together.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Likewise. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.